part murder mystery, part courtroom drama, and part in-depth character study. The Sausage Maker's Daughters, set against the Vietnam era, lays bare before a crowded courtroom the gory details of the youngest daughter's counterculture lifestyle, along with the dark secrets of her proud conservative family. The reason The Sausage Maker's Daughters was set against the Vietnam era is because the original concept that I wished to explore in writing this book was siblings and sibling rivalries. And it occurred to me as I was plotting the story, or mulling the story is probably more accurate, that the generation gap that existed during the Vietnam era was almost a reflection of sibling rivalry, only bigger. Coming out of the 50s, which is sort of Father Knows Best era, into generation gaps and major conflicts and not listening to people over 30 and so forth. And so I think it's interesting for us now that we are in a place in our lives to be reflecting on what our lives have meant and where we've been and where we're going. But it's been interesting to me because I've given this book to my sisters, my stepkids, my sons-in-law, and so forth, and even one of my granddaughters is reading it, which I keep saying parental guidance advised here. They have all been crazy about it. They've loved learning about the 60s. They didn't know what it was like. They didn't really understand the anti-war movement, the feminist movements, even the civil rights movements, and how earth-shattering, how life-changing they were. And so I think there's a broader market than I even anticipated. But to me, what makes a book one that you just absolutely can't leave alone once you've started is that you come to care about the characters. And so for me, it's all about developing realistic, flawed, human characters that you can always find something in them to personally care about. For me as an author, it was essential that I did care about every character in the book, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They all had some seed or some backstory that enabled me to love them on some levels. And in Kip's case, it was a little more difficult because she has a sort of brashness. Her first defense is to be kind of cocky and full of bravado. So in her case, it was more difficult, but I found if readers could be in her head and hear her insecurities as they're playing out, no matter how they come out of her lips, the insecurities behind all of that makes her a much more vulnerable and likable character that you can still cheer for. The fact that I lived through this period didn't help me all that much. I had to go back and do research about hair, makeup, clothes, music, the counterculture, the politics that spawn the counterculture. It's essential that you do sort of a broad timeline that tells you, Nixon bombed Cambodia. That was part of the background of the novel. Nixon resigns. Those kind of things have influence on every character as they're playing out through the novel. So you have to have the big picture, you have to have the details, the authenticating details, as we call them. And so I did research of every single kind. It was a great exercise for me to take myself out of my narrow point of view and be in everybody's shoes. It really helped me understand. It helped me understand family dynamics, relationships. I myself, as the writer, as I'm writing, I am seeing the scenes play out like a movie. I don't know if that's normal or abnormal. I don't know what other writers do. But to me, it's always been sort of a movie that I was rushing to record. And I've had a number of early readers, early reviewers say that they too saw this like a film running before their mind's eye. Once the reader has turned the very last page of The Sausage Maker's Daughters, what I hope is the overall emotion that you take away is hope. Because although there's loss and there's lost opportunities and there's tears as well as laughs, ultimately, at the very end, there is hope. There is hope, and we all learn to carry on. I'm not just excited that finally the Sausage Maker's Daughters is making its way out into the world, but at the same time, I've committed a portion of the proceeds from the sale of this book to a young charity that I've been involved with since its founding, actually. It's called The World is Just a Book Away, and it builds children's libraries in developing countries so that all kids have access to learning and books. And I'm also involved in a local charity that supports the 73 public libraries of Los Angeles. So in my world, kids both near and far will get the benefit of the world opening that books bring to all of us.